I competed in my first drift competition about a month ago now, and I made a huge mistake, ending with me being knocked out of top 32. And ever since then, I've been looking for a new drift competition so I can get my redemption. And I finally found one. It's called the SVDS, Scottish Virtual Drift Series. And as soon as I found out about this, I signed up for it. But I won't be able to use my Forwarder S15 because that car is specifically made for VDC with VDC physics. And in this competition, you're required to use a car from the SVDS car pack. So in this video, I'll be testing 4 different cars from this pack and see which one fits my style. Alright, so you may be wondering, why are you only testing 4 cars? Well, out of the 15 cars in the pack, I narrowed it down to the cars that caught my eye, which were the Toyota JZS 100, the Nissan 350Z, the Toyota Supra, and the BMW E36. And I started with the Toyota JZS 100. Then I needed to find a track. Then I found that SVDS uses the same track, but with different layouts. And that track is called Driftland. So I downloaded that track and used the layout that they used in the past competition. So I'll take you on a track walk so you can see where the zones are. Alright, so you come through the starting line. The first outer zone on the wall, you stay outside with another outer zone. Stay outside, you transition mid-track for another outer zone. Then you have another outer zone, transition mid-track again for another outer zone. And then another outer zone with this like grass wall here. And then you transition for an inner clip. And that's it. Now that you know how the track flows, let's get into it. And by the way, I'm going to mix a little bit of a live commentary into this video. So let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Alright, first lap out, I entered, hit the first zone pretty well, but didn't have enough speed to hit the second. Transition for the next outer zone, but had way too much angle, which caused me to miss the next one. Then transition for the 5th outer zone and stayed in second, which wasn't long enough, so I barely got the 6th outer zone. Then finally shifted up and got the final underclip. It's been a terrible first lap, but still missed a lot of zones. Next lap I tried using 3rd. My entry was very weird, but this time got into the 2nd outer zone. Transition for the 3rd, and then fell out of the power band. This car is so gripped up, it's crazy. So I went back to the pits, changed my gear ratio and the tires. And these cars have multiple different brand name tires. And I don't know anything about tires or their grip levels, so I just chose a random one. And I went back out for a second lap and realized this. Wow, it has so much grip. I just could not keep the car sideways. It felt like the car had grip for a high horsepower car, even though it's a mid horsepower car, and I was really struggling. Then I finally got a half decent lap, and here it is. I topped the wall on entry, which kind of disrupted the car, but I still hit the 2nd outer zone. I stayed in 2nd this time just so I can keep the RPMs up. Then transition for outer zone 3. Clutch kick just to ensure that I wouldn't fall out of the RPMs. Hit outer zone 4 and transition for outer zone 5. Then shifted up immediately after outer zone 5 to hit outer zone 6. Then just kept the throttle pinned throughout this whole section. Then transitioned for the final inner clip. It was better. That was by far my best lap. So I moved on to the next car, the Nissan 350Z. And I went to a different layout. So let me show you that. Alright, so coming to the entry, you have a outer zone here. You go all the way around to the 2nd outer zone here. You go up to the 3rd outer zone, which is pretty similar to the first track, or the first layout, I mean. Then the 4th outer zone. Add some angle to it here, to the 5th, and the 6th, and then the final, over the finish line. First lap out, I entered, got the 1st outer zone, transitioned pretty well, coming to the 2nd outer zone, added a little too much angle, but saved it. Hit the 3rd outer zone pretty well, and just maintained that throttle coming through here. Left foot brake to get the 4th outer zone, then coming around this bend, I fell out of the power band. Just from the entry, the Z felt 10 times better than the JZX. It just put down the power a lot better than the JZX. So out of the 2 cars, the Z was at the top of my list. My 2nd lap out on entry, got the 1st outer zone, transitioned and made sure not to add too much angle to get the 2nd outer zone. Maintain that throttle coming into the 3rd outer zone, just full throttle through there. Comes to the 4th outer zone, I dropped the wheel and immediately started adding angle to hit the 5th outer zone. Transition for the 6th, and just maintain that angle all the way over the finish line. I was really feeling the Z. My 2nd lap out was already better than my final lap in the JZX. I just had to clean up the section between the 4th and the 5th outer zone. I dropped the tire before the 4th, and I just wanted to go out wider and add more angle coming into the 5th. And a few laps later, I got this run. My line was a little off after the entry, transition and barely missed the grass on the outside and hit outer zone 2 and just pinned the throttle through this section. No left foot brake through there. Started left foot braking before outer zone 4 to add angle. Nailed outer zone 5 and transition for outer zone 6. Oh, that's perfect. That was the best run of that. In my opinion, the 350Z was a lot better than the JZX. It just fit my driving style a lot more, and at the moment, I'm leaning towards the 350Z. Then I moved on to the next car, the Toyota Supra, and went to another layout. And I'm gonna show you that real quick. All right, so you come into the run up, you enter with this first outer zone here, come out to the wall, to the second outer zone around this little tire thing here, come around to the third outer zone, and the fourth outer zone, which is very much like the first layout, in the fifth outer zone, in the sixth, you come around, and this time it's an outer zone here for the seventh outer zone over the finish line. First lap out, I entered, got the first outer zone, but didn't get wide enough coming towards the second outer zone, which caused me to hit the tire. Oof. Second lap, I gained a lot more speed on the run up, hit the first outer zone, then tried using the handbrake to carry the momentum outwards. Then the car gripped up, so I hit the second outer zone a little weird. Got around the tire fairly decent, then transitioned way too early, causing my line to be weird coming into the third outer zone. Got the fourth outer zone, transitioned for the fifth, and added way too much angle coming into the sixth, which caused me to miss it. And third gear was way too short, so I was just on red line over the finish line. A few laps later, I entered and got the first zone, transitioned, then throttled and pulled the handbrake to get out to the second. Then started adding angle coming around the tire and stayed on the throttle and clutch kick to keep the RPMs up. Transitioned for the third outer zone, but my angle was inconsistent and missed most of it. Got the fourth outer zone and the fifth outer zone, and had a great line coming into the sixth, then shift up the fourth and straightened. Yeah, I should stay in third that whole time. A few laps later, I figured I should insert in third, then shift down before the tire. This allowed me to stay up in RPMs and not worry about straightening. And after the tire, I stayed in second, transitioned, and finally got the third outer zone. Got the fourth, transitioned, and immediately shifted up before the fifth so I could gain speed coming into the sixth, but I didn't get out wide enough, causing me to miss the last zone. After that lap, I felt like I was starting to get the hang of the car. I was starting to understand how it behaves and how much angle it likes, and this was by far my best lap. But I was just struggling with that final zone and getting the right angle and enough speed to hit it. So after a few more laps, I finally got it. I entered in third, nailed the first outer zone, transitioned, then shifted down, nailed the second with a little wheel drop, and absolutely nailed the hairpin. Transitioned, got all of outer zone 3, got outer zone 4, transitioned, shifted up, got outer zone 5, nailed outer zone 6, and just kept the shallower angle for outer zone 7. That was by far my best lap in the Supra, and I liked it a lot better than the JZX, but not as much as the Z, so right now it's in second place. Then I moved on to the final car, the BMW E36, and went to another layout, so I'll show you that real quick. Come out of chicane, you have a long run up. First zone is on the wall. Come out to the second zone, stay outside, to the third, cross to the fourth, then you got it inside, you go outside, all the way up, cross to the fifth, which this is a very familiar zone. Then the sixth, you cross to the seventh, and then the final, over the finish line. First lap out, on entry, I threw a little too much angle, which made me miss the first outer zone. Got the second outer zone, transitioned for the third, and was a little too far inside for the inner clip. Went out a little wide here, but saved it and got the fourth outer zone. Got the fifth outer zone, transitioned for the sixth and had a little too much speed, which made me go out wide, but got back on track and finished the lap. This car is very smooth. I'm really liking it from the first lap. Like I said, the car was surprisingly smooth compared to all the others, and that was just the first lap, and I was already feeling very comfortable. It put the power down very well, and this was the first car I didn't have to worry about it gripping up. And my first lap was pretty good. All I had to do was clean up a few spots. Next lap out, I made sure to insert a little less aggressive so I could hit the first outer zone. Had a pretty good line to the second, and hit the third, but once again added too much angle and went too far inside on an interclip. And dropped the wheel again here, but saved it and got out of zone 4. Went a little wide for outer zone 5 and got outer zone 6, and threw a lot more angle to get outer zone 7 this time. But this car feels really good. After that lap, I was feeling really comfortable, so I took a few more laps just to perfect it. And here's that lap. And I'm not going to talk over this one. I'm going to let you hear the live commentary. Really good entry there. Yeah. So adding that angle, a lot smoother through there. Transition. That's perfect. Yeah, this car is great. In my opinion, the E36 was the best one out of the cars I drove, so this is the one I'll be practicing with and taking into the comp. And qualifying is on June 20th, so we got a lot of practice to do. So like and subscribe, and come back to follow me on this journey.